The wrong flight at gate 27. Lena Brooks had always believed that life could be controlled with enough planning. Every morning was scheduled. Every goal was written down. Every decision was carefully considered. Love, however, was not part of the plan. At 26, Lena was focused on rebuilding her career after losing a job she had loved 6 months earlier. She blamed one person for that setback, Ethan Cole. To Lena, Ethan was everything she disliked: wealthy, confident, charming, and somehow always lucky. The last time she had seen him, she had promised herself she never wanted to cross paths with him again. Fate, unfortunately, had other ideas. It happened on a rainy Thursday morning at John F. Kennedy Airport. Lena was late for her flight to Miami. Her rideshare driver had taken a wrong turn, security lines were unusually long, and her coffee had spilled down the front of her white blouse. By the time she reached her gate, boarding was nearly complete. Without looking twice, she hurried onto the plane and collapsed into her seat, relieved that she had made it. Only after the aircraft was in the air did she realize something was wrong. The destination displayed on the seat monitor wasn't Miami. It was Cancun. Lena's stomach dropped. "This can't be happening," she whispered. "You always did have terrible luck." The familiar voice beside her made her turn. There, seated comfortably by the window, was Ethan Cole. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Lena groaned. "No, absolutely not." Ethan sighed dramatically. "I had the exact same reaction." The elderly woman seated between them looked from one to the other and smiled. "You two seem perfect for each other." "We're not together," they replied in unison. The woman chuckled. "That's what they all say." Neither of them knew then how prophetic those words would become. A tropical storm greeted them when they landed in Cancun. Flights back to New York were canceled. Hotels were filled with stranded travelers. After hours of searching for accommodations, they discovered there was only one available suite left in a beachfront resort. One suite, 2 bedrooms, one nightmare. The first few days were unbearable. They argued over everything: the thermostat, the television remote, which side of the breakfast table belonged to whom. Ethan seemed to enjoy irritating her, and Lena had no problem returning the favor. Yet beneath the arguments, something strange began to happen. They spent time together because they had no choice. They shared meals, explored the city, walked along the beach while waiting for news about flights home. Lena found herself noticing things she had never noticed before. Ethan wasn't arrogant, not really. He was confident, yes, but he was also thoughtful. He tipped generously. He remembered people's names. He stopped to help strangers without expecting anything in return. One afternoon, she watched him spend nearly an hour helping an elderly tourist contact her family after she had lost her phone. He never mentioned it afterward. He simply moved on as though kindness were the most natural thing in the world. The image Lena had carried of him for months began to crack. One evening, they sat together on the beach as the sun melted into the ocean. The conversation turned quiet. For the first time, neither of them felt the need to argue. Lena stared at the waves before finally asking the question she had been carrying for months. "Why did you get me fired?" Ethan looked genuinely confused. "What are you talking about?" "My manager said someone reported my mistake." His eyebrows rose. "Lena, I didn't report you." She frowned. "Then who did?" "I don't know, but I spent weeks trying to convince them to keep you." Silence settled between them. Lena stared at him. For 6 months she had built an entire story around her anger. A story that suddenly wasn't true. "You tried to help me?" "Of course I did." "Why?" Ethan smiled softly. "Because I liked you." The words hit her harder than she expected. "You liked me?" "Still do." For the first time since meeting him, Lena had nothing clever to say. The ocean breeze brushed against her skin. The world seemed to slow. Then Ethan reached for her hand, and she let him. Their first kiss happened beneath a sky crowded with stars. It wasn't dramatic. There were no fireworks, no grand speeches, just 2 people finally seeing each other clearly. And somehow, that made it perfect. Life should have become easier after that. Instead, it became far more chaotic. A photo taken during a resort wedding accidentally went viral online. The bride and groom had asked all the couples attending to join them for a group picture. Lena and Ethan had happened to stand together. The internet assumed they were newlyweds. Millions of people saw the image, including Ethan's family, including his grandmother, especially his grandmother. Within days, Lena found herself standing inside the Cole family mansion, trying to explain why she wasn't secretly married. His grandmother listened patiently before smiling. "You're in love with him." Lena nearly choked on her tea. "No, I'm not." The older woman nodded knowingly. "That's exactly how I sounded when I met my husband." Over the following year, Lena and Ethan built a relationship that was as messy as it was beautiful. They got lost during road trips, burned dinners, missed trains, argued over ridiculous things, made up after every disagreement. Through it all, they laughed more than either thought possible. And somehow, every disaster became another story they would tell later. Exactly. 1 year after the wrong flight, Ethan brought Lena back to the airport. She immediately recognized the terminal, Gate 27, the place where everything had started. Passengers rushed past them, unaware that they were standing at the beginning and end of a love story. Ethan turned toward her. "Do you remember what happened here?" Lena laughed. "I boarded the wrong plane." "No," he said softly. "You boarded the right one." Before she could respond, he dropped to one knee. The busy terminal seemed to freeze around them. "Lena Brooks," he said, holding out a ring. "Every wonderful thing in my life started with that mistake. Will you marry me?" Tears filled her eyes. She thought about the storm, the arguments, the misunderstandings, the laughter, the unexpected love that had found her when she wasn't looking. Then she smiled. Yes. Applause erupted from nearby travelers. Somebody cheered. A child shouted. She said yes. And as Ethan slipped the ring onto her finger, Lena realized something important. Sometimes the most beautiful love stories don't begin with perfect plans. Sometimes they begin with a wrong turn, a missed flight, and a little bit of chaos.